Across Africa and across the entire African diaspora, from the Americas to the Caribbean, Brazil, Colombia, Haiti, Cuba, Jamaica, the United States, and beyond, millions of us carry names that are not originally African. Names that come from Europe, the Middle East, or from religious texts we did not create. And today, I want to explain why Africans all over the world ended up with foreign names, fully, honestly, without over-summarizing. Before we talk about Africa itself, we must first talk about the Africans who were taken overseas. The Africans in Brazil, the Caribbean, the US, and Latin America never chose their foreign names. They had them forced onto them. When enslaved Africans arrived in Brazil, which received the largest number of enslaved Africans, the Caribbean, Jamaica, Haiti, Barbados, Trinidad, Cuba, Dominican Republic, and Latin America, Colombia, Venezuela, Mexico, and the United States, one of the first acts of control was to remove their original names. Enslavers believed that stripping someone's name was the first step to stripping their identity and cultural memory. Enslaved people were renamed after the plantation they belonged to, the slave owner, Christian or Catholic saints, or European names deemed acceptable. This is why Afro-Brazilians often have Portuguese names. Afro-Caribbeans have English, French, or Spanish names. Afro-Latinos have Spanish names, and African Americans mostly carry English names. These names survived because they became part of official documents. This was not assimilation. This was erasure by force. On the African continent, the foreign names came through a different but still powerful force: colonialism. Missionary schools. Missionaries brought Christianity, but also brought new names. To go to many mission schools, the only schools available, you were often required or pressured to take a Christian name. Accept the name or lose the chance at education. This was not a free choice, it was a survival choice. Colonial bureaucracy. Colonial officers often preferred names that were easier for them to pronounce or write. African names were frequently shortened, altered, misspelled, or replaced entirely. Some Africans accepted foreign names because they made paperwork easier. Others took them to gain jobs, access trade, or avoid conflict with the colonial system. Foreign names became woven into public life: church, school, employment, taxation, passports. Another major source of foreign names is religion. Islam spread across Africa from the 7th century onward, long before colonization. Through trade, learning, and migration, names like Ahmed, Ali, Rashid, Aisha, Fatima, Umar became rooted in West Africa, North Africa, the Sahel, East Africa, and the Swahili coast. These names are foreign in origin, but over 1,000+ years, they have become naturally African in identity. Christianity brought biblical names that originated from Hebrew, Greek, Latin, and English. The churches in Africa and the Caribbean, Latin America, and African American communities all emphasized biblical names. This is why both the continent and the diaspora share names like John, Mary, Paul, Esther, Ruth, Daniel. In many African families today, you'll find both, a traditional name and a religious name. Even after colonialism and slavery officially ended, the influence of foreign names continued. Many Africans chose European, Arabic, or biblical names because they improved employment chances, they reduced ethnic discrimination, they helped people navigate cities or multi-ethnic environments, they made international travel and documents simpler. They signaled modernity in a world dominated by Western culture. Some families blended both worlds deliberately, giving the child an African name for identity and a foreign name for opportunity. In the modern era, names travel through movies, TV, music, sports, social media, and global celebrities. A Kenyan child might be named Wendy. A Ghanaian child might be named Kevin. A South African child might be named Nicole. A Tanzanian child might be named Brian. Not because of colonialism, but because global media makes these names familiar, normal, and trendy. Across the world, Africans and people of African descent now live with names from different histories, some painful, some spiritual, some practical. But none of these names diminish who we are. They tell stories of survival, stories of adaptation, stories of how our people held onto identity even when the world tried to take it away. And today, many people are proudly reclaiming their African names, restoring what was once taken or silenced.